No two college experiences are the same. Every university has aspects that make it different from others. Here at Western Kentucky University, our experience is incredibly unique thanks to the rich campus folklore. From WKU ghost stories to statues on campus, WKU's experience is different from any other.
I would describe campus lore as the folklore of students, in contrast to the institutional culture of the university. Things that are laid down in the faculty handbook or the student handbook, the official rules and expectations, the policies of the university. Folklore refers to the unofficial culture of everyday life, in this case among students, that exists within the context of the overall institutional culture, but is not the product of those in charge. It's the product of it's the creation of the students themselves.
Statues across college campuses are a common source of student lore. Students see these statues daily, and as much as the students are unique and have their own personalities, their characteristics result in fun stories of how a particular statue is distinguished from the others.
What comes immediately to mind is a legend, I guess, that I like to call the Unlikely Virgin. And this is a story that you can hear told on campuses across the country. Basically, the gist of the story is that on various college campuses, there's usually a statue that is said to come to life if a virgin happens to walk by it. In the campus lore of WKU, a virgin is said to affect the statue of Henry Hardin Cherry. He will come to life and step down from the pedestal.
Okay, so I've heard it called the vagina, the penis, Big Red's dick, and then I personally and my mother and my best friend call it the ambiguous genitalia statue. So,
and why do you think people call it that?
Because it looks like a vagina, and you can also kind of see how it looks like a penis, I guess.
The statue down by the Guthrie Tower. This was and I can't remember the name of the statue. I've just heard it referred to as the Guthrie soldier. It is considered a sign of honor and respect to when you pass a statue of any soldier, especially for someone with a military background. He comes from a military family, to give them a pat on the shoulder, as though they're heading off to war, as a sign of just respect and thanking them symbolically for their service.
But as the sun sets on WKU's campus, the campus folklore takes a sinister turn.
Ghost lore is legends and stories, ghost stories that you hear, hauntings, alleged hauntings, haunted houses, haunted buildings, stories of suicides where the spirit remains in a particular floor of a dorm or a particular building. Oftentimes as just a fun, scary story, but also cautionary tales about the possible consequences of failing to conform to particular social norms and behaviors. I don't think there's a college campus on the planet that doesn't have some type of ghost story. Usually there are more than one. The WKU campus has probably a dozen different ghost stories, and many different variations of each of those exist. The one that I'm most familiar with is, and I can't remember, the date is failing me, maybe it was back in the early part of the 20th century when Van Meter was first being built, because this was in the days when aviation was still a relatively new thing, and so seeing an airplane flying overhead was a novel thing you didn't see every day. So as the story goes, there was a construction worker working above the stage in Van Meter Hall and installing, I think, a skylight or doing something high up above the stage on some scaffolding. According to the story, an airplane flew over, and he hears the airplane buzzing by, and he leans way back to see what's going on, loses his footing, and falls to the stage and dies on impact. Now, according to the story, not only does his ghost still haunt Van Meter, but immediately after his death, there was a stain of blood that had to be cleaned up off of the stage. It was wiped cleaned up, everything was gone, only to reappear cleaned up again. The next day, they come back, the blood stain's there again. This happens 3 or 4 times before finally, in order to remove all of the evidence of this horrendous tragedy, the stained boards were removed completely and replaced with new boards.
So McLean Hall is actually home to Lady Maddie McLean. She's actually surprisingly one of the newer ghosts, I guess you could say, because she wasn't detected as present until some female students who were living in the building used a Ouija board. And so they asked, are you here? Is someone here? Who are you? She's like, Maddie McLean. So to confirm, because the story of Maddie McLean, her history is pretty well known. She's pretty well known to the university. They asked her various questions that were easily verifiable that it was indeed Maddie McLean. She is not particularly fond of male residents, which is always kind of interesting because this is a co-ed building. She's very protective of the female residents. And her portrait actually used to hang in the little alcove here in the lobby that we're in right now. But they very recently redid the McLean lobby, so it's all brand new and shiny. And Lady McLean's portrait now sits in the Kentucky Museum.
So Barnes is supposedly haunted, but it's either by the 5th floor or the 7th floor RA. And what had happened was back in the 60s, the elevators used to get stuck a lot. And so one of the RAs had come up with a way that they figured out how to fix it. And so he pried the doors open one time after it got stuck and stuck his head out. And as soon as he stuck his head out to look at where the elevator was, the elevator came down on him. And so he supposedly haunts the building. But it's documented that it actually happened. So yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Wow. Okay. And so, have you had any of your own spooky experiences in Barnes?
I actually have, because as an RA myself, I have to come back early for training. It was the beginning of August. We had come back early, and after a long day of training, was just in my room getting everything ready for the residents, and I decided I had to go to the bathroom. And so I went to the bathroom and I did my business, and I was washing my hands, and as I was washing my hands, I heard the door to the other bathroom open and close, and there was no one else on my floor. And so I was really freaked out, and so I built up the courage in myself to run to my room and lock my door.
Much like the statues on campus, students can give new meaning to certain buildings and locations. Alumni often return to campus to take photos in their favorite spots.
Back a couple years ago, I'm a senior now, so it was probably my sophomore year or so. So one of my friends, he told me that you could get on the roof of Cherry, and it's really cool up there. It has a nice view. We wanted to get on the roof of Cherry because it's an awesome filming place, and it'd be dark up there and stuff, and we wanted to film a lightsaber battle. Yeah, I guess a maintenance guy saw him standing up there, and so yeah, he came up and yeah, he was hello guys, so what are you doing? We were shocked at the time. We were we're up here, and yeah, and he's come with me, and so he leads us to the door to get back into Cherry. And as we were walking down these really steep stairs, it's only 3 of them, but to get back into Cherry, he looks back at us and he sees that we have lightsabers, these stunt grade lightsabers, and he's wait, do you have lightsabers? Yeah, we do. And he was he was hysterical. He just started laughing. Yeah, so then after that, he calls one of his buddies that he works with, and he's guys, you're never gonna believe this. I caught another person on the roof of Cherry, but they have lightsabers. And he's okay, I'm gonna video y'all and take it to my wife so she can see. So he does, and he walked us out of the building, and we were good.
So the area in front of PFT, I always knew it as the Thirsty Circle. A bunch of guys, sometimes girls too, will stand outside or sit in that little cement circle, and they will catcall people. They'll be loud and rowdy, hanging out with their friends. But a lot of the guys tend to sit out there to pick up their girlfriends or just pick up girls in general. So we always called it the thirsty circle because them boys are thirsty.
The watering hole,
And have you heard it called like other names?
like the thirsty circle, or just the quad. Ugh. It's a freshman's way of life. I think they take it too far. They think it's like a nightclub, and they'll go till 2 a.m. playing loud music and just enjoying life, which is awesome, because that's what you want on a campus. But at the same time, you're still here for one thing and one thing only, and that's a degree.
But the true worth of a campus is not defined by its buildings or its statues, but ultimately by the students who give meaning to them. Campus folklore is made by students, for students, and creates a unique college experience for every single person.
Are you aware that you are somewhat of a campus legend?
I am very aware of that. One, I'm known for being very close with the Greek system on this campus. And two, I'm known for being a big fan of Hondas. Started about 7 years ago. August 31st, 2011 was the first time I ever rode in a 08 or newer Accord. And it was love at first sight. But
And how many Hondas have you ridden in?
08 or newer Accords, 455.
That is pretty amazing. Do you feel like you've had an impact here at WKU?
Yeah, and I hope it's a good one.
Have you heard any rumors about what happens if you get hit by a car while you're crossing the street on campus?
Yeah, I've heard that if it's a Western vehicle, only a Western vehicle, you will get your tuition covered for that semester.
And do you believe that?
You know, part of me is always kind of want to try it. Like, is getting hit by a car worth it? I'd be possibly open to it, but I'm kind of in the last like home stretch of this college, so maybe if they go back and cover the loans.
And do you think that people cross the street without fear or cross the street aggressively on campus because of this?
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, we have crosswalks everywhere, but I myself, I'm like, what are they going to do? Hit me? I mean, and then yes, people walk out. In fact, I don't drive on campus specifically because of that, because people do not care.
I think it comes from a desire to get out of paying tuition. This is a story that's reflective of, I think, the economic insecurities and just the high cost of tuition. It would be great if there was some way that we could get out of, paying our tuition bill. And so I think these are stories really reflective of that desire. And no, WKU is certainly not. It's not a story told exclusively on WKU's campus. You can find similar stories about getting out of paying tuition, whether it's getting hit by a vehicle on campus or your roommate dying or committing suicide. They all have the same focus that something tragic happens, you don't have to pay your tuition. So I've heard lots of variations on this at Western. Some students tell me that you can't be just any vehicle. You have to get hit by a university vehicle, right? Because then they're responsible. Or some students say, well, it can't just be any university vehicle. You have to get run over by a shuttle, right? So that, still. Well, another way to get out of paying your tuition, and this is actually specific to WKU, but it's based on the same theme, the same idea. If you can capture the elusive white squirrel and present it to the president, and there are a couple variations on this, but as far as free tuition goes, if you catch the white squirrel, present it to, Caboni now, then you get your tuition paid for. It's probably the only thing you'll get if you catch a white squirrel is rabies, so I don't suggest trying to do that. So there's no way you're going to get out of paying tuition. So it's a fun story, though.
My experience at Western Kentucky University has been incredible. WKU will always hold a special place in my heart. Go Tops!